Gopal Krishna joins us, former shipping secretary. Let's take that conversation forward. Mr. Krishna, good morning. Thank you for joining us. If one assumes that the shipping industry gets a status of infrastructure, how will life change? How will life change for shipbuilders? How will life change for port companies? How will life change for shipping companies?
Yeah, so as has already been mentioned, shipbuilding industry is a very important industry which contributes to a lot of employment generation, economic growth. The if you see the employment multiplier, it is close to 6 to 7 times, and if you see the investment multiplier, it will be close to 2. So it's a very important, and our nation has taken great strides in the automobile sector. It has now practically become the second or the third largest producer of automobiles. But again, as was clearly mentioned, uh, India does not still stand amongst the high stand nations as far as shipbuilding is concerned. And we need to do everything possible to see that shipbuilding is promoted in our country. If, as you say, if it's been a long demand of the shipbuilding industry, that a lot of incentives should be given for including tax incentives, uh, declaring it as an infrastructure. And if it is declared as an infrastructure industry, obviously it will have advantages for excess of long-term funding, cheap funding. Government is also at times, considering relaxing norms for ECB. So all this will certainly contribute. But more than that, if I see, we will also have to see that funding is just not the only problem that the industry faces. There are large number of other bottlenecks and weaknesses that the system has. Uh, the primary, I think so, problem that we face is that the import duties on ship uh, is very, very low. I mean, we started, if you see the automobile sector, the tariffs on this sector are very, very high, 60%, 100%. And that actually led to a long-term buildup of a domestic strong industry. There was a lot of FDI, and our domestic industry had time to build. This has not happened in our country. While FDI is allowed, but largely all our ship requirements are uh, essentially met by imports, and we are allowing both old ships and new ships to be imported. We need to have a relook at this policy. While the government for 2016, we have been there is a shipbuilding, financial assistance scheme which is coming to an end in 2026, and I'm again told that a new policy is in the making, which will further extend, and this provides for subsidy in shipbuilding to the extent of even 20%. Uh, it's on a tapering scale. This needs to get extended. There's no doubt about it. But simultaneously, we need to have a very firm policy on import. We may allow import of electronics, engineering, and electrical equipment, which forms about 30-35% of the total ship cost. There we may allow lower duties, but for the whole ship, second-hand and new ships to be imported in our countries, we have to have cheaper and tougher import duties and requirements.
But if the industry gets infrastructure status, apart from getting interest rate advantage, what are the other advantages it could get?
See, as I had mentioned, that largely it is related to access to cheaper funding. There is also then opportunity for floating of infrastructure bond by companies. Also, creation of very specific infrastructure or shipbuilding related funds. So obviously there are a lot of spin-offs when an industry is declared as infrastructure. Besides cheaper loans, there are also other benefits. Companies will certainly, if an infrastructure status is given, the entire outlook of assessing the industry changes, because as you know, it's still taken as a movable asset, and there are difficulties in funding. So lots of these things will change. So not that it will not have an impact. Certainly it will have a very big impact. And that has been the demand of the shipbuilding industries for very long. We must keep in mind that we had a very, very global scale of shipbuilding yards, which got established in our country, L&T, Reliance, ABG, but they all tapered off. They couldn't survive, essentially because of lack of commercial orders of ships from in our country. The public sector shipyards, whether it be Cochin Shipyard under the Ministry of Shipping, or a lot of PSUs which are under the Ministry of Defense Production, they are still surviving, thriving because of strategic importance to shipbuilding and maritime, which has been given by the defense forces. Recently, we had the uh, aircraft carrier build. There is talk of the second aircraft carrier to be built in India. A lot of submarines, defense, other ships are being built. So a lot of emphasis on defense, but the same kind of order book is not there for the commercial ships. Only one or two yards, largely Cochin Shipyard, does attract a lot of uh, orders from, especially on the green initiatives from Scandinavian countries and also US. So certainly this is one of the very good steps that we'll require, which will give a boost to the shipping industry.
All right, Mr. Gopal, the other point within the shipping industry is that the experts are expecting that the international spot for ship repairing and building activities can also get a boost. What is your sense there, and how big is the opportunity size that lies ahead when it comes to ship repairing as per se?
Certainly, that's a huge sector. Again, Cochin Shipyard, we have been building one of the largest repair yards. I think so. It has been recently inaugurated. A lot of our shipbuilding, ship repairing activities go to neighboring nations: Sri Lanka, Singapore, Dubai, even Bangladesh. Smaller vessels, which are riverine vessels, they are taken to Bangladesh for repair. So again, that's a huge. But for that, again, the problems are similar. And giving infrastructure status will certainly improve the availability of funds. For working capital funds, again, a requirement. And the norms for if you give an infrastructure status, then availability of working capital funds again improves. So, and this is a very big sector: ship repair, shipbuilding. In fact, if we slowly start getting our acts right in ship repairs, then in the next stage, we can think of a very robust shipbuilding. And we need to have collaborations with these three global leaders, which the expert just before me had clearly mentioned, that Japan, Korea, and obviously China holds 47%, close to 50%. And that's the story in sector after sector. I mean, if you just see 3 years back, China delivered 40 million deadweight tons of shipbuilding, South Korea 25, and Japan 23. Compared to that, the total shipbuilding output in India in that year was 0.03. So collaboration with foreign, any of these three companies, there has been talk of collaboration with Mitsubishi, with Korean companies, and that should be promoted. In fact, earlier there was a collaboration, but now we have to rebuild. Teams from the ministry had gone to Korea to build up on that. The collaborations, have a collaboration. So we need to collaborate with these foreign players in a very, very big way.
Okay, great to have you, sir, today on the show. Mr. Krishna, a lot of perspective and food for thought really on what the budget could actually entail specifically for shipping and shipbuilding.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay, let's just revisit what the market as well has settled in at, and let's just check in on where we are currently. So just about trying to nudge up in the green, not so much at an index level, but look at the Nifty IT index right now. Yesterday too, remember, IT saw buying. You had the likes of Wipro, Infosys, TCS all hold out. Today, Coforge has got a good leg up after its earnings. 9.5% is the kind of uptick that you're sitting on that stock. And Persistent as well is the other one, almost a 7% uptick on the futures. So very strong momentum and very strong reactions after the earnings is what you have currently seen.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.